The fact that something is interesting and attractive doesn't mean that you are going to leave your design. It is not connected with something that you want, but what you can. There is no choice really. And the ability to find those who is ready, it's there. It exists. And it's not so that reflectors would be in some esoterical circles. On the contrary, they are captured in conservative spaces, in mundane lives, in the so-called normalcy. And that's where you can find them. You will find them in the deepest holes of this non-self world. And they are not the missionaries, no. It's not what reflectors do. These are the people who can detect and highlight when they are on that spot. I'm living in this paradise where you are watching the sunrise when I wake up. I get up early because I am an Aries. I always get up. And when the sun is penetrating and emerging behind the mountain, there is this expanding, widening light. But I also sat on the stone in the Mediterranean and watched the moon rise. And then you see how right in front of me this spot is highlighted. Reflectors are those people who are highlighting that spot. They can highlight that one person, that only person in the homogenized world that no one else can see. This is a fantastic metaphor. It's pretty much the moment which defined who will win the World War II. Nobody was able to see who, where they are going to and from. And nobody could see it but the reflectors. Reflector who can look at this homogenized field where cows and sheep graze and see the wolf. They can ignore everyone else, but that's not what we receive from them now. No. There are these powers which will even this knowledge out. It will be reflectors. I love to keep my enemies close to me. These will be people who will put this knowledge against me. Because yes, I understand that's their job to stop formalizing this whole homogenized world. It's their job. They are truly serving this great power. They understand. But I want only a few of them. Only a few. So that someone will be on our side. So that we can compete with the dark side. The dark side says, there they are. Go and kill them. And our side says, go and choose them. They are not normal. And I'm not joking here, even for a second. No. That's what the reflectors are. And they have to be careful. I am aware of that. The thing which is so great that I am a manifestor is that you can inform if you want to. I know so much about types and different beings and about how they should function. And I'm teaching this. I hope that during these years that I'm telling about reflectors and the fact that they are concentrated only on the lunar cycle, I made at least some of them understand what it all means. And that's what I am doing today. I realized that I did a very good job. It's very difficult to get access to them. They belong to something which will take us beyond limitations, allowing for the transcendence to happen. These are people of the program. They are program servants. And we are solar people. They are watching us as if we are kids in a kindergarten. That's what it is. Because of how they were brought up and conditioned. It's so difficult to reach them. And when I tell a reflector, listen, you are my enemy and I'm trying to win you over, it doesn't mean that they agree to this. I'm trying to bring them to this so that they became the instruments of the abnormal. It's some work, let me tell you this. Over many years, when I was studying in Cologne, I lived with a couple who had a 6-year-old reflector son. And he was studying in some special program. And she kept asking me how to raise such a child, about their process, about how they should make decisions, about the lunar cycle, etc. And I tried to help her to work through the cycle on the chart. Then she told me this story when parents threw a party where children are playing between themselves and parents are sitting and watching. So these kids were playing the musical chairs. It's when children have to sit at the chair when the music stops. And the teacher was nervous because she wanted to demonstrate to the parents how they all play, and it's some task. And she asked this reflector boy which chair he would like to sit on, and he said, in the middle. So the kids played, the music played, and they were trying to sit on that empty chair, and that boy was sitting in the middle. This is a classical image of a reflector. That's what they are. It's not their personal space which matters. They are the most personless beings. Of course, it becomes very difficult for them because in this life, one has to be a lover, a parent, somebody, and it's a very personal thing. And reflectors are not about being personal, and so often they are misunderstood. We all are emotional, and they can be cold as ice. I know this, I am living through this. And when you are telling the reflector that you are non-emotional, you are non-personal, and the whole humanity is sort of your distant cousin, and it's so difficult to accept when you are a parent and that you are bringing up such an impersonal child. The best thing with the child reflector is to let him go. Take him out of the house. Let the kindergarten take care of them, the school, etc. Let him into the world, into the community, and he will be absorbed by it completely. It's the only opportunity for them to be recognized for what they are. And they can be comfortable with being what they are when their surroundings are stable. And everyone is playing by the rules, no matter what those rules are, good or not. Reflectors deeply become sad when the rules are broken, and it's nothing personal. They broke the rule, and you have to punish them. There is nothing personal there. And we don't need people who know, who think that they have their authority. Program is the authority, all this program. They are keeping everyone else locked in this non-self. This is the ruling force, the life force. And never ever there were any attempts to wake reflectors up. You can look into any book, literature which exists, the most ancient ones. You can find some understanding on generators. You can smell it, feel it. Of course, they were not quite right. But you can never find anything on reflectors, on this phenomenon, only now. And that's why we're living in these incredible times right now, because now reflectors have this opportunity to get out of the program. When I broke my deal with the program, I said no to it. The program said, well, okay, we will stay anyway with the rest. Now let him stand alone, he won't be able to take anyone away from us. But when you are reflecting the reflector this way, then it's a problem. We don't like it one bit. We don't have many reflectors. We can't afford losing them. We need them. Almost 7 billion people who has to be controlled by controlling the reflectors. You've got to understand this. Reflectors are lucky that they have this opportunity to enter this process of deconditioning. It's the most classical example of breaking the agreement. I don't care what this program in this incarnation did. I know that there is a level of consciousness that bodies have opportunity to go through this journey. This is the means for this journey, which is defined by our type. This is what I understand. But look at the personality. It has a right to wake up, and it doesn't matter who you are and what you want. The personality has this right. That's why those few reflectors who will awaken, they have this right to do so. But in order to start this process, we have to admit the fact that it's not going to be easy, that you have to accept everything that comes your way. For a reflector, it is not an easy task. It's not like a projector who has this trajectory towards recognition. For a reflector, this knowledge is something that they have to understand through the cycle. To be able to understand our system, it means to understand the whole program. And it's their thing. But the majority won't be able to do it. This is the beginning of approaching towards uniqueness. Their uniqueness is there. It exists. It doesn't matter that your chart is white. You can see that uniqueness in the lines, base, color. You can see that their uniqueness is there, and it has to be revealed. Teaching that I gave reflectors in the beginning had one basic truth. When the reflector is making a decision, he has to do it only through the lunar cycle. That's how they get an only opportunity to live through their unique authority. And then they get their higher role, which the program carries for them. And you will see how they break the contract with the program. It's something special. Then the moon starts shining on their fractal line, saying, "Oh, you finally see us." It's as if you get a lawyer from the heavens on your side. It's a miracle. It's a miracle which says, we got another one, yes, and it doesn't matter that it is a reflector. Reflectors can be deeply punished for turning their back on the program. They have such an extraordinary role. It's such a deep process to reach the place when you could leave it out and accomplish it really. You know, I'd be happy to tell them, you can do it this way, do it. But we all have to go through our own processes. It's the only way, and you have to have this deep dedication to it. There is no other way. And it's a lonely way, and it takes a long time. They have a totally different calendar. It's their own calendar. And when they truly become pure, it means that they are pure in the sense that they are in their geometry line. They are fulfilling their role. Then they will be serving here. They are here to serve. That's their role. Service is their gift. The fact that they can recognize those who are ready to break the contract with the program. It's the readiness for the surprise. To wake someone up who doesn't even know that he is ready, and someone sees him. It opens opportunities for them in this world, and that's reflector's gift. All those who want to find out more about reflectors, find it out from their mouths. That's what I can recommend to you. Now when I spoke about it all, you will be looking at reflectors with great suspicion because you know what it means. You will be telling your story, and this story of reflectors, what it means, and how many reflectors are there in your life, etc., etc. We were standing there speaking during the break. It doesn't mean that we can change them overnight, you know? And you will be looking if there are those reflectors in the room who will notice you. These are great CIA agents, cosmic agents. All I did now was try to raise the image and level of reflectors for you. And I've been doing this for so many years. I hope nobody is mad at me. Well, what can I do? I changed the approach that I always had towards reflectors because I realized that we need to portray them differently. Before, my approach with reflectors was not very successful. I didn't tell them who they truly are. I thought that I would quietly bring them into work so that the program wouldn't notice it too much. I think that this is very important to understand, because maybe there are chances that you can turn reflectors into themselves, because that's what's happening right now. That's what we're trying to do here. The non-self of the reflector cannot understand what role they are playing in life. They can't understand, and they have a very negative relationship towards it. While reflectors are present, you can speak with them about their non-self in a way that we speak about the reflector's conditioning. It's not the same with the conditioning of others. It's not a personal non-self which the others have. It's the non-self of the society that the reflectors have. They integrate, include all these aspects on the personless level into themselves. This lunar cycle is the only place where you can start. When I was given this knowledge, I explained. I thought that the only aspect would be the most difficult one. I could already see the projector's dilemma, who doesn't have this constant moment of refinement. But when I was looking at the reflector, I didn't know what it all meant and how to deal with it. And how to say to someone that Jesus will appear on the market now. Just sit and wait when he appears. It's so powerful. They are this programmed life. It's not mom and dad, parents, friends. They have it all and more. They have the program. What makes the non-self of reflectors so interesting is that they are the boosters of the main religions on the planet. Because they know within themselves that they are connected to something great. They are the purest servants of the program. In the culture of this civilization, they belong to what we translate as relative spirituality. I am the representative of the God's justice on this planet, and I serve Him. They are one with the program. They are one with the field of consciousness. Nobody else is like that. Yes, they can have these general deviations, but they are not tied to this at all. And the only way they can use this potential to stand out from another reflector is that with the help of the geometry and its circumstances. Just think about what it means for a reflector. I try to treat them in the most correct way in my life, and it's something that I am interested in, my relationship with them. I would spot them and start waiting. I know that they have to go through this process, but you see this moment, me and reflector together, in the moment in time and space. It's a movement, that's all. And then reflector has to go through its journey. I think about the time as of the movement. It constantly moves. For me, a reflector and the way it goes through its cycle is the same as for the emotional person who is waiting for its clarity. There is all this information which is added, embedded in order to give him some clarity. And it's important to understand about reflectors this. Only when this geometry is in that moment, only then they can determine their potential. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. When the reflector is in the vacuum, it is dead. There is no life. They are not born for caves. They are here to interact with the society. And you see when someone is introduced to a reflector, a unique place is created. We say that two things can't take the same spot at the same time. And this is the beginning of that process, which is miraculous for reflectors. It's the only thing that makes them different, nothing else. Making right decisions for all of us is our holy grail. We all want to learn to make correct decisions so that we can shine in our unique authority, being our true selves. And this unique authority for reflectors can reveal itself only in those moments of initiation, which are established by this unique movement in space. And from that moment of meeting, you are waiting for this cycle, not from any other moment. That's what makes them different. When I begin my work trying to educate different types in their nature, I gave reflectors an introduction, and then I gave them time. And the only thing that I could tell them was the understanding of the cycle. It's all for them. You see, it's the only way when they can begin to differentiate themselves from the program. It is that beginning when they can interrupt the interaction with the program and they can make decisions. It's more important for them than for us. The only thing that I'm always warning them about is that the other person is very important for them in life. Because that other person determines everything in this life for them. If a reflector is surrounded by wrong people, then there will be difference in the process. They shouldn't worry about this other person. They have to go through their cycle. Remember, it's Teflon. But only when they are trying to make their unique decisions, they can try to find their own direction. And since for them it is this unique and open G center, direction is everything in their life. Everything. Program is created for reflectors so that they can be able to recognize a lot of things which are born, reveal themselves in the society. And they exist here for this purpose, because everyone is trying to be abnormal. Here we have a different game. It's a good place for them if they can say, is there anyone normal here? I see that all people in human design are abnormal. Let's get rid of them. That's what they belong to. They belong to the world of the dense non-self. As soon as reflectors surround themselves by abnormal people, they lose their value. Yes. The world is filled with all kinds of people who never stood a chance. And the world says, let me see what this one can do. That's what we need, because they have it all. We all are the life force except reflectors, and they can't reach that place until they are absolutely correct in the way they move. And you can say that this is the deepest non-energy type because they need a whole month to start moving. It's a slow movement which builds in gradually. It shouldn't be fast. But this all is so that their movement in space would be ideally aligned. That's what the correct place means. When you value your strategy, your authority, then whatever you receive, your body uses its internal consciousness, and it simply acts in a correct way. Your personality might not see it, but you are in the right place. You are in the correct movement, and only in this movement and this correctness you can find the place you belong to. And since reflectors are this small portion of the society, they should be spread out all over the planet. They are everywhere. For every 200 people, there is one reflector. And for a reflector to be in the right place is so important. For them it is everything. And they can get there only thanks to this process of making decisions. And then they won't have this social dilemma which projectors faces. And when I say, for example, about an emotional projector, I talk with them about the process of waiting over and over, meeting with people, how difficult it is for them to understand when they should reject someone who approaches them, who is not correct for them, to make them wait. Just think about the pressure which reflectors face. When someone calls you and says, I would really like to do this and that, what do you think? And reflector says, call me next month. It is next week. Yes, next week, but I won't miss out on anything. It's not very comfortable when you function like that. I love you, I want to be with you. Yes, but call me next month, let me check. I will put this on the screen of my radar. We don't understand this. Hindu Brahmins would be able to understand this. If Babylonians were freaks, then Brahmins were freaks of the moon. Moon was everything for them, the movements of planets and so on. They were so wise about the stars and the planet movement around the moon. Moreover, they understood something specific. For me, one of the deepest things I've learned over these years is the importance of the nodes, because these nodes are the person's trajectory in life. You can't separate the moon from these nodes. And as we know, the nodes are connected with what we see on our fractal line, in our geometry. Reflectors are those who can see. They see very well when something is not right in those forces. When you look with this exalted perspective, it's very strange. But since the dilemma is so difficult, this parent will tell its reflector child, let's redecorate your room. The child says, "Ask me in a month," and he will be beaten by a stick, this poor reflector. "What do you mean, wait for a month? I don't know whether I want to do it." But the reflector says, "But if you wait till next month, you will be confused about what you are doing now." It doesn't work like that. It's terrible. Then the family makes a decision to send you to some boarding school. If you are a generator, it's great. If you are a projector, then you have a chance that maybe you will receive a different experience. But you will also be alright because there are ties there too. But for a reflector child, when they are taken away without being asked, without giving him or her an opportunity to work through it, if you have a reflector child, you won't simply take them to school. You will take them there for a couple days first, only for a couple days. You will give them a chance to try it. Then you will take them back and wait for a month. And then you will ask them, "Do you want to go to this school?" Which parent is ready to do this? We don't know anything better. That's why we are doing the same thing over and over again. Just think about what it is like to raise a reflector child and wait when needed. When parents receive this knowledge and can, from the beginning respect it and how they should treat them, then they can understand what they are born for. And that's when they can understand how beautiful it is when someone is raised correctly. And for the other, it is very difficult to accept. They don't understand this. They don't know how to work on this level. They don't even know what it means. They can't reach that child. I thought that for my mom, it was difficult to raise a manifestor because it was such a difficult aura. But to have a reflector child which constantly is slipping away through you and you want to hold on to it, and it's impossible. Psychologically, the relationship between a mother and a child reflector are full of dilemmas because you can't begin this correctly. You can't understand them. But I begin to understand that our education system constantly is getting destroyed. And I constantly remind people about this, that the new times are coming. And if people don't know their design, if they can't make their decisions correctly and stand alone, we won't be ready for the times when incredible changes happen, which are bound to happen. Our time is coming to an end, and it is connected with this, so that parents could understand how to raise their children, so that there would be people who can explain these parents, help them, guide them in this process of upbringing, educating the reflector. It is something extraordinary, something completely different. Reflectors have to understand one thing at a time. Just think about this. It's practically a 30-day process, one thing at a time. That's how they become masters, how they learn. And that's the beauty of making decisions according to your type, one thing at a time. And they are able to work through one thing this way and no one else can. They work through it in this incredible movement in space. And we move with a speed of 425 kilometers per hour. Just think about it. It is an approximate speed. And for them it takes 30 days with this speed. Imagine how far we go ahead throughout that time. Millions and millions of kilometers in space. And while this movement in space happens, constantly new information comes. And the fact that they are moving in this process, they are ruled by the moon. They are being aligned by it. And reflector who wants to understand this can look at the ancient writings on the moon. It is so deep. It is something to understand. Every movement of the moon is unique, special. That's why it is also moving in space in a different time. And for a reflector, moon and the way it filters the neutrino flow, it's something that defines it. Each phase brings in its own formula of understanding. There is nothing more deep. Nobody gets the knowledge about their environment in a deeper way. Nobody can make decisions with bigger effort than reflectors. Time. You have to give yourself time when making decisions. In this process, the generators have the slowest life and reflectors the fastest, because reflectors make decisions every lunar cycle. It doesn't matter if they notice it or not, but they are constantly going through endless cycles, and they are contracting their life. I need a split of the second to make a decision, and they need almost 30 days. We live in a different worlds. I always recognize the fact that I'm very fast. I'm an ego manifestor with a spleen. My ego is on the surface. Everything what I have in my life is on the surface. And if you think that I have depth, it's what's coming out of my mouth. But in reality, I don't have any reach towards that depth. I can't sit alone and think. I don't even think. I'm not a thinker. I don't ponder. It's a simple purity, a moment in the moment. It's so fast. It's on the surface. I don't have anything against just sitting next to a reflector and be on his side, to be this stone which glides on the surface of a reflector. When we take in someone's emotions, for example, we say, they have to go through this. It's pretty much the same definition, the same person. And they always have the same definition, always have the same activations. Not a big difference. It's the moon for reflectors, to watch the moon, the way it moves through its phases. After my deepest experience with the voice, I didn't know what to do with it, and I needed to see for myself whether I'm crazy or not. And then I started watching the moon and its phases. I'm emotionally open. It was in January. In January and in February, the planets are located so ideally. Sun and Mercury, they're going through those gates which activate my solar plexus. And the first thing that I was watching was the moon. I have 49th gate, and it's the only gate which I have with the solar plexus. Then they are unconscious. And the moon entered the 19th gate. It was one of the deepest experiences I've ever had. I couldn't believe how I felt it. I felt it. I could feel my emotions. I felt them in my whole system. I didn't think about the moon throughout ages. And all of a sudden, I could feel it in my body. My mother, I haven't remembered in a while, who has this channel, 1949. I've always been an atheist. I've never been an esoterical person. I couldn't believe in all this. And here is this object, cold, dead object in the sky that made me feel something extraordinary. It was truly extraordinary. It was the beginning of my trip towards understanding how the body graph is reflected on us. It's a portal to the gods. I started meeting with different forces. I had true relationship with planets, real ones. They programmed me. We are programming them. We have a relationship with them. They became a part of my body. Reflectors, they are constantly connected with gods, yes. And for them, moon is something they are worshipping, bowing down to. It's everything to them, and it's something worth thinking about. The sacred task of a reflector is to wake up to their service, to this unique service. It's the service to the whole. And remember something about the nature of the continuity. Homogenization will never be destroyed. It will never go away. But inside of all this, there is a place for those who are ready. Always. And without reflectors, it will be difficult to find them. That's why every time when you have an opportunity, do a reading for someone who is a reflector, or know parents who have reflector child. Do whatever you can so that they understand that this child has a chance to serve those who is ready. It's something very, very important. Also, it's important to recognize reflectors around you. It's time to tell them the truth. I know this now. It's time to tell them that their role of the non-self is not why they are coming here. They are here not in order to better the humanity. No, I don't think that it will make their life easier. I would like to see more reflectors in our program. That's it for today.